Have you ever imagined that the civilizations of the Americas, the mighty empires of the Maya and the Inca, may have begun with a single girl? A small, fragile woman from a forgotten Siberian tribe who survived an impossible journey, carrying within her the secret of the Denisovans, and ultimately became the link that opened a new chapter in human history. Once, this was only a legend, but today, archaeology and genetic science reveal evidence that leaves us in awe. In 2023, a team of archaeologists from the University of Colorado and Brown University ventured deep into the frozen lands of Siberia. They crossed the taiga forests, waded through glaciers, and carried ground-penetrating radar, along with delicate instruments, to uncover the traces of ancient humans. The images they recorded are unforgettable. White tents pitched against a sea of snow, faint yellow lights glowing in the -40°C night. The wind howled, the snow whipped across the darkness, yet beneath layers of ice tens of thousands of years old, untold stories still waited to be uncovered. When one excavation pit was opened, they uncovered massive bones, not human, but the rib bones of a woolly mammoth, deeply embedded in the ground, scarred with sharp cut marks. Beside them lay a human skeleton, its arms still pierced by the broken tip of a bone spear. It was as if time itself had frozen a moment of the past, a desperate battle for survival between humans and colossal beasts. From these remains, the team extracted DNA. What they found was astonishing. A strange genetic fragment called MUC19, not entirely belonging to Homo sapiens, but inherited from the Denisovans, an ancient human branch that vanished 30,000 to 40,000 years ago. This discovery explained a mystery that scientists had debated for centuries. How could a small band of humans have crossed the Bering Land Bridge during the harshest depths of the Ice Age, when storms and freezing cold could wipe out an entire tribe within days? The answer: the Denisovan gift of DNA, a genetic shield that strengthened their immunity, protected their lungs and digestive system, and gave them a fighting chance against both disease and the deadly cold. Picture this: a band of Siberian nomads, short but strong, their skin weathered by the cold, wrapped in mammoth hides. Children trembling, women clutching their infants, men gripping spears carved from bone and stone, their eyes fierce with determination. Before them stretched the endless road of ice, the Bering Land Bridge. They knew not all of them would reach the promised land, but they had no choice. Their homeland was dying, buried under the weight of ice. The brutal journey claimed many lives. A father collapsed from pneumonia, buried hastily beneath the ice. A child lost in the blizzard, its cries swallowed by the wind. Another ambushed by a saber-toothed predator, leaving crimson stains on the white snow. Every death carved a scar into the tribe, yet they pressed on. Among them was a young girl, bright-eyed, resolute, who would one day become the living witness to the entire journey. Today, in a cave in Alaska, archaeologists uncovered carvings etched into the stone walls. A procession of people marching through storms, a colossal beast pierced by dozens of spears, and a woman surrounded by a radiant circle, a symbol of hope. Beneath the soil lay the skeleton of a young woman. DNA analysis revealed the same Denisovan MUC19 variant. Could this be the Siberian girl of legend? how could a species that went extinct tens of thousands of years ago still walk with us on our journey of survival? The answer lies within our very blood. Fragments of Denisovan DNA from a mysterious branch of humanity long gone. And from this truth begins a story. The tale of a tribe erased, a girl who survived, and the last Denisovan man who remained. During an excavation in Siberia, archaeologists uncovered an ancient village sealed beneath thick layers of ice. The remnants of shelters built from mammoth bones and hides still stood. Inside, human skeletons lay piled together, evidence of a mass death, perhaps from a violent storm or an outbreak of disease. But what haunted the scientists most were the cave paintings nearby. One depicted a blizzard devouring an entire tribe. Another showed colossal creatures with glowing eyes, enemies or gods of terror. And a strange symbol, a towering man, spear in hand, standing within a circle of radiant light. Unlike the other Homo sapiens figures drawn around him, many believe this was a depiction of a Denisovan, remembered and honored by those who once knew them. The bones were taken to laboratories. From teeth and jaws, DNA was extracted. The results shocked researchers. Among them was a young woman carrying the Denisovan variant of the MUC19 gene. This gene produced protective mucus layers for the lungs and digestive system, granting resilience against illness, a vital edge in harsh climates. It was likely this gift that allowed the young woman, the last survivor of her tribe, to endure longer than the rest. But genetic records alone cannot tell the full story. To imagine what truly happened, we must step into the shadows of prehistory. The wind screamed. Snow fell like endless knives. The Siberian tribe trudged across the Bering Land Bridge. One by one, lives were lost. The cold swallowed them all, until only a single girl remained, her eyes bright, but her body failing. She collapsed on the frozen ground, death hovering close. And then, a giant figure emerged through the storm. A man, a Denisovan, broad-shouldered, with a rugged face and piercing eyes unlike any other. He lifted the girl in his arms, saving her with fire and the meat of the beasts he hunted. She stared in shock. This was the being from her people's legends, a human of another kind, thought lost to time. Yet one still lived. From that moment, a sacred bond began. The Denisovan sought permission from his kin and chose to leave them behind, to guide and protect the girl on her path to the promised land. While the man led the girl onward, elsewhere, his own people were dying. Modern archaeology has uncovered their fate. Denisovan skeletons found in distant caves, their teeth scarred with disease, their bones marked with hunger. Perhaps famine, plague, or even tribal wars brought their end. DNA reveals these were among the last of their kind, disappearing 30,000 to 40,000 years ago. The elderly collapsed beside dying fires. Children's cries faded into the storm. The caves fell into silence. Only one remained, the man who had left, now walking with a woman of Homo sapiens. Together they pressed forward, through blizzards, across the endless road of ice. The Denisovan man became the protector. The girl became the chosen one, carrying the hope of tomorrow. Archaeologists today have unearthed unique stone tools in ancient layers of Alaska. A Denisovan-style blade lying beside a Homo sapiens spearhead. Evidence, perhaps, of cooperation between two human worlds, just as the story has told. What happens when an extinct species becomes the guiding hand that shapes the future of humanity? The answer is written in bones, in stone tools, and even within our DNA. And it begins with an unlikely pair, a fragile Homo sapiens girl and the last man of the Denisovans. The frozen world opened before them. The Bering land bridge stretched endlessly, like a white ribbon linking Siberia to Alaska. The girl, now frail but her eyes still bright. The Denisovan man, towering and broad-shouldered, leading the way. They braved blizzards, crossed fractured ice, and hunted giant beasts to survive. Modern archaeologists have uncovered traces of an ancient camp in Alaska, a ring of stones that once anchored shelters, charred ash from campfires, and the butchered bones of game animals. Radiocarbon dating places it around 20,000 years ago, the very time of this journey. They built a hut from driftwood and animal hides, kindled a fire that blazed red against the cold night. It was the first human fire on American soil. The girl became pregnant. Her child was born to the sound of wind through the trees, swaddled in furs, its eyes shining brightly. The Denisovan man looked upon the infant and knew his blood had merged with another kind, and through this child, his people would live on. Science confirms it. Denisovan DNA has been found in many indigenous peoples of the Americas. That child may well have been the ancestor of millions. Soon after, another group of Siberian migrants stumbled into the new land. They were gaunt, their eyes hollow with hunger. Some collapsed right outside the hut of the two pioneers. A moving scene unfolded. The Denisovan and the girl lifted them from the snow, sharing meat and fire. The cries of starving children turned into louder voices of life as warmth returned. Together, they became a new community, the first seed of the civilizations that would rise in the Americas. Archaeology records this too. Ancient layers in the Americas show diverse groups merging, their tools intermingling, their lives entwined. The Denisovan man knew his kind was gone. He was the last, but no longer alone. By the firelight, he spoke with gestures and a deep, rumbling voice about the tribe that had vanished. The girl listened, tears streaming, realizing that within him lay an entire civilization, now buried in silence. Modern science has uncovered unusual stone tools in Alaska, distinct Denisovan craftsmanship lying side by side with Homo sapiens spearheads, a silent testimony that he left his mark upon humanity. One day, the man was gone. Perhaps age had claimed him, perhaps an old wound. He was buried by the riverbank, beside a wooden pillar raised to the sky, a symbol of strength. The girl, holding her child, carried on. Children grew, and with them, the story of the last giant was told, becoming legend. Today, when scientists analyze the DNA of Native Americans, they find Denisovan traces, living proof that legend has become truth. We may never know the true name of that Siberian girl, nor the face of the last Denisovan man. But we know they lived, they loved, and they saved one another. And from that bond, a fragment of Denisovans still lives within us. A gift from an extinct species. A gift that allowed humanity to set foot in the Americas and to give birth to a new civilization.